Good afternoon, everyone. It's Aniva Menon from hearthealthbrainhealth.com, encouraging healthy grieving and mindful actions. Today, I'm thinking all about emotional patterns that are established oftentimes from our time with family and whoever we grew up with, right? So sometimes it's extended family that was really kind of the parental models, or maybe it's siblings. But we all know about these patterns that we then learn from most easily and most comfortably because we've had some length of experience in it, and it's the thing that sticks in our minds. And of course, we remember that this is something I really like. This is my role model. This is the person that I looked up to, and I'm trying to be like that. And I know that there's certain qualities about me that are like that, and then there's things that we don't like, and those are like, and I'm not like that, and I don't want to be like that, and all that sort of idea. But those patterns, those emotional patterns that not a lot of people spend time focusing on, is what shapes us through our lives too. So remember that we can change our behavioral patterns. I've seen a family member doing this, and I would never do that, right? Or we can understand the emotions that we're feeling when we're even saying those words. So the first quotation I wanted to share with you today is this. It says, seeing unhealthy patterns in your family and deciding that those patterns end with you and will not be passed to future generations is an extremely brave and powerful decision. So, again, this is by Tiny Tot, or someone identifying as Tiny Tot. And the quotation again is, seeing unhealthy patterns in your family and deciding that those patterns end with you and will not be passed down to future generations is an extremely brave and powerful decision. So, this is big, right? So, a lot of people, we can think of any sort of abuse. Abuse could be verbal, can be emotional, can be physical, right? So, we know that there's abuse that often people experience, right, from family. And many times people will say, well, no one's ever hit me. But there has been, the hitting of emotional words or hitting of emotional nerves, right? So, that sort of idea. So we see that. So some people really know how to hit our buttons, right? No, of course, all of the people that are closest to us know our buttons, and often they can know exactly what to say or do or how to behave that might push a button for ourselves. And so we've grown up with these buttons being pushed right from family situations and close friends. And today I would love for you to think about what kind of buttons do you notice are pushed for you. So let's say you might, like myself, have chosen not to have children. And you might think that, oh, well, that then prevents any sort of history of family behavior patterns from being affected into the next generation. Except we're all affecting every generation around us, right? So whoever we're speaking with regularly is learning from us too. And this is a responsibility to take too, because everyone is learning. It doesn't have to be a child. It could be your best friend. It could be an aunt, an uncle, a sibling, anyone that you're communicating with. It could be a cousin. It could be, again, a friend. It could be a pet, how you're communicating with your pet. But unhealthy patterns are established early, and unless we're mindfully attentive to, are we falling into those patterns? So lots of people have learned from family that, well, when someone speaks not well to me, I just don't speak. So we've seen lots of people that go into kind of a passive aggressive, I just won't speak with that person. You know what? That's it. They did this and I am not speaking. I've certainly been through those experiences, and I have certainly held back from saying when I was in experiences that I felt hurt by, I can say that I held back from speaking. And, it's only after observing and contemplating and understanding how much power is in not speaking. And it's lucky, of course, I've done a lot of coursework in this area too, that even from my first degree, I had learned that not speaking is the strongest form of control talk. And we can think about this, right? Because it doesn't even give someone an in to say anything, to speak with, this is what I think, or this is how I feel. And when someone's in that phase of disappointment or anger or frustration or hurt, they will often think that they're being better by not speaking. Remember that this is also an egoic reaction. This is, I better not speak because I might say something that's not kind. And that's good. That's not healthy though, right? Because one needs to get to a place where they can speak. And it's good to take a little bit of a break to not react, but then have a response. That's healthy, right? And so, again, as adults, most people are learning this. I want today to also place the idea in your mind that it's okay that we have learned not to behave in unkind ways. And hopefully, we have learned that, and you have modified your own life from what you've seen growing up to be better for the people around you and for yourself too. We have learned not to speak the things that could be hurtful or unkind. We have mostly not learned to control our own minds in still thinking things that are not kind. So, whether it's a judgment of the other person, that person is always such a pain in the butt, which I'm sure people use stronger language at times. That person is so difficult. That person is so not thinking right. That person's always rude to me. That person's always unkind. But it's only to me, right? Because often we feel that we're being targeted, right? But especially by family, when something happens and it's very direct, you do this, we feel blamed, we feel hurt, we feel offended, we feel not very strong. And either of those spaces, someone who is blaming or accusing, is in a controlling perspective, and that's an ego perspective. And someone who's feeling hurt and feeling very small is also in an ego perspective of, I can't say anything, I'm not supposed to say anything. And we've all been through some of these times. And it's really important for us to recognize that how I respond matters. So, in terms of training our own brains, of I'm seeing someone communicate, and that a lot of times patterns don't change even throughout life. So, if there was a pattern early in childhood, oftentimes a person will still speak with that person in the same way. And oftentimes there is an unaware energy that continues to speak in that way because parents often do not look at children as intelligent beings that are making intelligent choices and communicating intelligently because they still think of them as a child. And children still think of parents not understanding their mind and that sort of idea. All we have to do is understand ourselves. So at this time, you might be a parent and you might also be a child. And important that no matter which scenario you are thinking about, or you might be a friend, think about how you respond. Can I respond without judgment on that person? Can I respond kindly just because it's who I am? Can I respond without blame? Because if I'm receiving blame and then in my mind I'm blaming them, it doesn't matter whether I say it or not. The energy is the exact same. So today I would love for you to think about that for just a little while to see how much time do you spend in sending energy of thoughts that are not useful or helpful to another, which still has to go through ourselves, which means it's not useful to ourselves either. And see, are you in that blaming mode? And even if it's blaming yourself, it's the same low energy. So today I wanted to remind you about this because the person that we speak to the most in our lives is ourselves. So it's in our own minds of how we're speaking to ourselves. Now we're speaking to ourselves and about everyone else too. And when we're catching ourselves of, I don't speak very kindly about other people, it's such an important awareness. A lot of people don't notice that they're doing this. When I work with people with brain retraining, it's quite a surprise to them, even in grief recovery, of what people are thinking about the people that they love the most. Even with the fullness of heart of truly loving these people, they're still not wishing well from them from their own thoughts. And again, I feel that most people don't understand the power of thoughts. I will put a link to another video that I had done quite some time ago about the power of words. And I want to finish today's video with this quotation, which says, how often misused words generate misleading thoughts. How often misused words generate misleading thoughts. And this is that person's such a whatever, right? Even if it's lazy, selfish, jealous, angry, frustrating, difficult, all of those things, I'm saying all of those things, they go through my brain, my body, before that energy of the power of words hits another person, even through energetics only. Remember that if prayers work, and I believe they do, and that's blessing people with good energy, thinking thoughts like, oh, I don't know if they'll ever pull out of this, or you know what, they've always been difficult, is not helping them. That's almost like cursing the people that we love. So if we're mindfully aware of this, and whether you do it with coworkers and suddenly notice that your environment at work is not very comfortable, or you do it at home and you think no one's hearing you, well, the universe does. And the responses from your family in terms of how lifted they are or how depleted they are is partially related to the energy that you're sending them regularly. Today, I hope that you will spend 5 minutes after this video modifying your own thoughts, catching yourself to see what you're thinking regularly, and maybe spend 5 minutes of just sending some loving energy to anyone that perhaps you might have been sending uncertain or unkind energy unknowingly before this video. I wish you a fabulous 5 minutes of practicing that. And I hope you remember, transform your mind and transform your life. I wish you a fabulous long weekend. Happy Canada Day, everyone. Bye-bye.